We're going to start over. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Oh, thank God. That would have been bad. Okay. So you're going to hear what I already said, but the other people didn't hear it. So I've just been talking for almost 10 minutes and found out there was no audio. But now we have audio. So what I was talking about was all of you are getting yourself prepared, a lot of you, to be a firefighter. You're going high school, college, fire science, doing all the things you need to do to get ready to be a firefighter. And it's going to come down to a 30-minute interview. You're going to sit in front of 2 or 4 people, and they're going to ask you questions. They're going to grade you. So everything you've done comes down to 20 minutes, because 10 minutes we grade you. You only get 20 minutes to talk to convince them to be a firefighter. So I have people putting years of experience into their backgrounds, and they put like 2 days into the interview, and this is 100% your score. This is what you're going to get. It's whatever you get on the interview, that's where they rank you. So you got to nail this interview. Even though you may have done all these great things, if you don't have a good interview, you're not going to get a good score, bottom line. So you're going to walk into the room, and they're going to settle you down, say, how nice to see you, shake your hand, have a seat. We want you to do your best. I mean, they're not out, it's not a stressful interview. They try to keep it as low profile as possible because they want you to do well. And generally, they're going to start you off with an opening statement. And I go with English 101, which is hit them with a thesis statement. And so when they ask you, tell us about yourself, what are your qualifications, why are you here today? I don't care what they ask. I'm here today because I believe I have the qualities and attributes and behaviors that I believe are essential for the position of firefighter. I've gained them through my education, my work history, my related experiences in this position, and my involvement in the community. That's why I'm here today. Those are my qualifications. I don't care how they ask it. You're going to lead them to your opening statement. Then you defend it. So how do I know what to talk about? Well, you have to know what they're looking for. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you. One of the things they're looking for is people who can adapt and overcome. They're creative problem solvers, especially under pressure in stressful situations. Because guess what? Firefighters have to be creative problem solvers in stressful situations. So they're going to ask you questions about that. So I'm going to get ahead of the curve, and I'm going to talk about my problem solving skills in my opening statement. Right off the bat, it's going to be in there. They may ask me, tell me about a story, but I'm going to let them know I have this behavior personally. They're looking for people that work well in a team. So I said, tennis players, swimmers, they don't make good firefighters. I'm kidding, of course, but they don't play, they're singular, right? We're looking for football players, soccer players, right? So people that play well within a team. So you got to talk about that in your interview. They're looking for people who have a random act, have random compassion about them. They look for opportunities to help other people. It's just in them. And I'll explain how you can talk about that. We're not looking for people who are cold and callous. That's not what they're looking for. And finally, they're looking for people who are educated. And I'll tell you why. It's huge. So if you plan your opening correctly, you're already going to get ahead of the game by already talking about what you've done in your past. But I have experience in creative problem solving. I'm a good team player. I have compassion for others. I have experiences in life that relate to this position. So you've already answered those questions for them. And they're going to, and then if you do it right, they're going to say, wow, okay, you kind of answered this in your opening, but I'm going to get a little deeper, and then they'll ask a story. Tell me a story about this. But that's how you get ahead of the curve, is knowing what they want at their end, and in your opening, covering those things. So adaptability, being creative, problem solving, thinking and reacting on your feet in stressful situations, teamwork, compassion, education. So what qualities and attributes I want to talk about? Again, probably in your work history, maybe a little bit in school, problem solving, working in a team environment, in school, your work history, military, sports, you're going to get in about team. When have you had to think and react in stressful situations? Probably in your work history. So when you're talking about your work history, this is going to come in. Obviously, any of you at work know customer service is huge. Showing compassion for others. People who volunteer in their community, that's how they feel that you have natural compassion for others. But I'm going to tell you, when you tell a story about problem solving, it's always going to be a creative problem solve. Because I told you many times, the tools, the equipment, the policies, the procedures that we're going to teach you, they don't always work. You're going to have to think outside the box. So your story is going to be a creative problem solving. Communicative skills, why? Well, you're going to go on scene. You're going to talk to people. You want to give good customer service. You want to communicate well with other people. So you want to talk about that. And you usually get that through education and through your work history. Situational awareness. We first start off working. We have very narrow focus. We're just trying to do our job. And as time goes on, we get a wider view of things. We start seeing things. We get a bigger view. We have more situational awareness of what's going on around us. Very important in the fire service to understand what situational awareness is. And you're going to decide in your opening which one of these you're going to sprinkle into your opening as you talk to them. It's up to you. So I told you, working back, I'm here today because of the qualities and attributes that I've gained throughout my life, through my education, my work history, my related experiences, my involvement in the community. Educationally, I just keep talking. 3.5 to 4 minutes, solid talking. Educationally, I'm telling what high school. I went to St. Genevieve's High School, where I graduated with honors. And I always say with honors because sometimes you get an extra point for that. So they don't know, throw it in there. What have you learned from this experience, and how have you applied it? I'm going to talk about that. And how will it benefit you as a firefighter? Then you're going to bridge it to the position of firefighter. So how will my education help me as a firefighter? So I went to St. Genevieve's High School, graduated with honors. And then I went to Pierce College, where I got my AA degree. I then went to Valley College, where I took my fire science classes and got a fire science degree. Okay, that's easy to remember. What did I get out of it? That's important. It taught me, it shows that I can set and achieve goals in my life. I think it shows dedication and commitment on my part. And I'm going somewhere with this. This is all a setup for my next, what I'm going to talk about next. It shows that it demanded that I had to plan and organize my time. All of you are online because you got a lot going on in your life. So you got to plan and organize your time to get these classes in so that you can get into that room, right? My education demanded I read and understand vast amounts of information in various subjects and then be tested. And this is being recorded, and this PowerPoint is on the portal so you can see it. If you have your bachelor's degree, you were living on site, you were living and working in a multicultural group dynamic situation. Just throw it out there. They'll ask a question. That's something you're throwing out there as a hook. You're hoping to ask a question about diversity, and you're going to go into it about your college life. So what's the bridge for education? So I went to St. John's, Pierce, valley. Here's what I got out of it. How's that going to help me as a firefighter? This is so invaluable in my development as a firefighter because I know I'm going to a 20-week fire academy where I'll be tested on a daily basis, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. For 1 year, I'm going to be on probation. I'm going to be training on a daily basis. I'm going to be tested on a daily basis. And finally, fighters are training constantly throughout their career. Your education is invaluable, both in the academy for that 1 year probation and throughout your year. See how it works? So here's where I went to school. Here's what I got out of it. And it's so important because of 21 career. So I just nailed the educational box. I just said what I just told you, I'm going to show you. I'm entering a 20-week fire academy. Again, I'm going to have to be dedicated and committed. I'm going to have to set and achieve goals. I'm going to have to plan and organize my time. Believe me, all of this is true. When you're in an academy setting, you better be dedicated. You better be, setting up your time frames. Better be organized. You're going to be exposed to tons of information on a daily basis. And every day you're going to be tested on yesterday's information. And guess what? For the first year of probation, here's the 1 year. I'll be training on a daily basis and giving proficiency exercises. And throughout my career, I'll be training on a daily basis. Firefighters train each and every day they go to work. Every day we're training. I plan on advancing in my career, and this education will be invaluable. And I have college experience. I have an AA degree, I have a bachelor's degree, whatever, that shows I have strengths in each and every one of these areas. That's the bridge. So when I sit down with you, you're going to know your thesis statement, which is qualities and attributes that are essential for the position. I've obtained them through education, work history, related experiences, and involvement in the community, educationally. And I'm going to have you list your education. And then you're going to bullet what you got out of it. My education, and you're just going to do it this quick. This education taught me to set and achieve goals. It shows I can set and achieve goals in my life. I believe it shows dedication and commitment. It challenged me to plan and organize my time. I also had to read and understand vast amounts of information. I was tested on a daily basis. And I did this in a multicultural group dynamic situation. You can add anything else you want there, just bullet. And why this is so important, which is column 3, is because I realized I'm going to a 20-week fire academy where I'm going to be tested again on a daily basis. They're going to throw a lot of information at me, and I have to assimilate it, and I'm going to be tested on it. And when I get out of the academy, I'm going to have a 1-year probation where, again, I'm going to be tested on a daily basis. We're going to be training, and I have to show that what I've learned, I can do if I learn about EMT, I have to be able to perform it. And then finally, off probation, throughout, firefighters never stop training their whole career. And that is why education is so invaluable to being a firefighter. So here's where I went. Here's what I got out of it, 21 careers. I get done with this category. I'd like to talk about my work history. Talk about your past employment. So I'm going to bomb to this area so you can see it. These are buzzwords that could come into your work history area. So category 1, first category, where was your first job? Entry-level work. My entry-level work was my introduction to hard work, teamwork, customer service, and communicative skills. Really helped me. From there, I moved over. I got promoted to assistant manager, where I then learned more about. I was able to have more situational awareness of what was going on around me. I strengthened my communicative skills, my customer service skills, my problem-solving skills. Problems on a daily basis I had to deal with. Why did I just throw that out there? Because I know they're going to ask a question on problem solving. It taught me about chain of command. These military people, they can talk about stuff like this. relate these experiences to the position of firefighter. So in the fire service, one must be able to think and react on their feet, working with others in a team situation, have customer service experience, have core values. I just bullet them out there. The ability to solve problems, compassion for others. And I believe I've demonstrated that I have experience in each and every one of these areas through my work history. And here's what it looks like in your head. Here's where you've worked. Entry level, started off hard work, taught me about teamwork, customer service, honesty, and integrity. The next level you went to, I learned more about situational awareness, problem solving, core values, communicative skills, whatever you want to put in here. The third, your current level, I took all of these. I've strengthened myself in each and every one of these areas. I'd use them on a daily basis. And then I lead to how it fits to being a firefighter. All these attributes now come over here. And in the fire service, a firefighter must be able to work well in a team, must be able to problem solve, have good customer service skills, good communicative skills. My work history has strengthened me in each and every one of these areas. And that's how you're going to, on a piece of paper, you'll see it in your head. Education, what high schools I went to, what I got out of it, how is it going to help being a firefighter? 21 career. I like to talk about my work history. We all know where we work. That's easy. The middle category is the one sometimes we forget. The bullets. You're just bulleting. It taught me hard work, teamwork, customer service, honesty, integrity, situational awareness. You're throwing them out there. If they want to ask a question, perfect. I'm ready for it. All your work's being done. You have a notebook. I don't have one with me here, but you have a notebook and you've figured out everything you're going to ask you. It's already in your notebook. Your opening statement, questions, and I carry that thing with me all the time. I have a break at work or whatnot. I'm going over it. So when you're throwing things out, you say, it taught me honesty and integrity. Expect to be asked, tell me about a time that you showed honesty. Tell me about a time that you showed integrity, because you threw it out there. So I've already planned for it. It's in my book. Okay. I'd like to talk about related experiences that I have to this position. Now, some of you may not have related experiences, and that's okay. And I'm talking about cadet, explorer, lifeguard, EMT, ambulance driver, in-facility ambulance driver, military. They have related experience. You've been to our fire academy, very related. You've taken fire science classes. Those are related experiences because we're talking about experiences that are related to the position that Joe Blow, who walks in off the street, has never experienced before. Because not everybody has a 22-week fire academy. So in that, you want to bullet, I was taught ladders, knots, tools, equipment, hose, truck company operations. I received 16 state certifications. And you're going to pick what you want to talk about in related experiences. Riding an ambulance, lifeguard, police officer, cadet, explorer, hand crew. Ride along, maybe just did some ride alongs. Military background, those are all good related experiences where you have a little more experience than the person that just came in, that just sat down in that seat. Again, what are your related experiences? Bullet what you got out of it. The bridge, I believe all these related experiences will be invaluable in my development as a probationary firefighter, as well as throughout my career. They expect you to hear, what have you done? What attributes did you get out of it? What behaviors did you get out of it? And how does it relate? If you walk in that room and you say, I'm a doctor, I've been to the fire academy, I'm a paramedic, I spent 6 years on a paramedic ambulance, I cured cancer, and I did whatever. How'd I do? Not too good. I didn't bridge it. I didn't say, what did you get out of it? And how does that relate to being a firefighter? How is that going to make you be the best candidate? Yeah, you've done a lot, but you didn't tell me. A lot of people have degrees, and they can't screw a light bulb in. So they don't mean a whole lot to me. So you got to be able to relate it. I just said that. So finally, I'd like to talk about my community involvement. So you're probably wondering, Captain Kearns, why are we talking about community involvement? And I'll tell you why. And all of you have community involvement. You did something, if it's just a little bit, make it bigger, but this is why we want to bring this up. This is right out of the LA City playbook. They believe people who work within the community show a commitment to others, placing the community before themselves. Firefighters, what they're looking for in a firefighter candidate is a selfless person, somebody who kind of thinks of others, not themselves first. Now, do we get we call them me people? Absolutely. But I hate working with me. It's always about me. Me. You know, it's not supposed to be that way. You're working in a team environment. It's about the team and it's about serving the public. So how do you get that across? By talking about your community involvement. So my work history, I talked about my education, I talked about where I went to school, what I got out of it, and how it relates. And I'm going to talk about my educational background, where I went to school, what I got out of it, why it relates. And the community involvement, what I did in the community and how it relates is that firefighters are very involved in their community. They think of others before themselves. I'm that type of person. I've been involved in my community, you talk about it. So you show that you have compassion. So sometimes you can bridge. So if I'm talking and I talk about my education background, my work history, my related experience, finally I'd like to talk about my community involvement. So instead of saying what I did first, I can say, I realized from being a cadet, explorer, taking fire science classes, going to the fire academy, I witnessed that firefighters are very active within the community they serve. They go to school demonstrations, pancake breakfasts, they go to Rotary Club meetings, church events. They're just very involved in their community. I've been very involved in my community throughout my life. And I'm that type of person. So I bridged, that's what they do. I'm that type of person. And here's what I did. I've been volunteering for the past 15 years for cancer, taking people to their cancer treatments or whatever it is. And then you talk about your involvement. So it's called bridging before. So I just went through my opening, English 101, my thesis statement. What are your qualifications for the position of firefighters? Why are you here today? Why do you want to be a firefighter? It's all the same question. How was your drive in today? My drive in today was awesome. Knowing that I have the qualities and attributes that are essential for the position of firefighter. I've gained them throughout the past 12 years of my life through my education, my work history, my related experiences to this position, and my involvement in the community. And I believe it qualifies me for this position. Educationally, I went to St. Genevieve's High School. I graduated with honors. I then went to Pierce College. I got an AA degree. I left Pierce College. I went to Valley College. I took all fire science classes and got my AA from general ed, moved into fire science degree. I believe this shows dedication and commitment on my part. It challenged me to problem solve, to prioritize my time. I was demanded to read and understand a lot of information, a lot of subjects. I got tested on a daily basis. And all of this, why that's so important is because I realized I'm going to a 20-week fire academy where I'm going to be tested both in the classroom and in the yard on a daily basis. And once I graduate from the academy, I'll be on probation for 1 year, where again, I'm going to be training on a daily basis. Not only am I going to be applying the training that I learned on scene of incidents, I'm going to receive additional training. I have to be able to absorb this and apply it. And finally, off probation, firefighters are training on a daily basis. Okay. Firefighters are training on a daily basis. So you have to be able to absorb this training and apply it. And that's why education is so important. I'd like to talk about my work history. See how I do it? And I just move on right into work history. 3-part process. I worked at Ralph's Grocery Company. I actually talked about being a newspaper boy for 6 years in Ralph's Grocery Company, working my way up to the chain of command of Ralph's Grocery Company. And then what I got out of it: customer service, situation awareness, problem solving, all these things. And then all of these are invaluable will be invaluable as a firefighter. My related experiences, I told you, I took all the fire science classes. Back then, that's about all we had to talk about. There were no fire academies, things like that. So I talked about fire science classes and basically some bullets about what I learned. And then finally, I talked about my community involvement. So I gave my thesis statement. I defended it. Now you tell them what you already told them, English 101. And it helps close it out. Some people were talking, I spent 15 years working for American Cancer Society. My job was, I go to somebody's house and I'd drive them to their cancer treatment. And they didn't have people to drive them. It was very fulfilling. I felt like I was giving back to my community. And I realized firefighters are also very involved in their community like that. And I possess that behavior. And there's this awkward silence. Are you done? Yes. Oh, okay. So when I work with people on their openings, I tell them, close out the opening. So after I talk about driving people to their cancer treatments and say, finally, I just want this board to know that I came here today to demonstrate to you that I believe I have the qualities and attributes that are essential for the position of firefighter. I believe I've demonstrated this to you through my education, my work history, my related experiences to the position, and my involvement in the community. And I'm ready to answer any questions that you have at this time. So it kind of ends it up so they see it, they hear, they go, okay, he's done, he or she's done, perfect. Now, here's the most valuable thing I'm going to tell you today. It's the most valuable tool of the day. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Bottom line. And if you think about it, it makes sense. I know some of you have been sitting there going, oh, I'm going to use that in my, oh, I'm going to use that too. Well, I like that, right? Because it sounds good. And that's what happens in an interview. If you're organized and you come in and you talk about your education and what you got out of it and why is it so important to being a firefighter, and you just segue right into your work history, where you worked, what you got out of it, what qualities and attributes, why is it so important to be a firefighter? Hey, I have some related experiences to the position. Here's what I got out of it. This is why it's so important. Finally, my involvement in the community. Here's what I did. Here's what I got out of it. And it directly relates to firefighter. And I'm ready to answer any question. It just makes sense. It flows off. You mentioned problem solving, situational awareness, communicative skills, customer service skills, team building skills, and you sprinkled it with all the right buzzwords. It just waves over us and it sounds good. We go, all right. And you're going to be nervous, trust me. But I don't have time in an interview as you're talking to analyze what you're saying. Because if I stop my brain and go, he or she just said this, well, wait a minute. I'm not listening. You're 25 words down the road. So I just have to sit back and go for the ride. I sat on an interview board for 2 years. How fast do you think we make up our mind what your final score is going to be? After the opening statement, I already know what your score is. When you finish that, done. I know you're a 100 or you're an 80. I know right now. We give out whole scores, 100, 90, 80, 70. So either I want you to move on, I'm going to give you a good score, or I don't want you to move on. So that's why you have to put the time in the opening. You don't have to have related experiences. You don't have to have been to a fire academy. There's a guy called me today. He was in my last Zoom class. He's going down tomorrow to meet his background investigator, meaning he's already taken the test, taken the written, got 100. They looked at his background. He's only taken fire science classes. He's never been to a fire academy. He's an accountant. He switched gears and he wants to do this kind of work. Bang, he got picked. So tomorrow he's in the backgrounds. If he passes backgrounds, they're going to consider him for the next class. Another kid that called me today, he's going down tomorrow. He's taking these classes, but he's been to the fire academy. He got picked and he's meeting with an investigator. That's when it's serious. When you meet with an investigator, you're on your way. So I don't know how I moved away from what I was talking about, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You got to get that good score. That means put a lot of time into this interview. 20 minutes, that's it. That's all you got. And it has to be from you, not me. So if you like things you see, I'm gonna, like I said, this is on the module. If you want to copy my PowerPoint, I don't care, but make sure it's your words coming out of your mouth. Sometimes you try to say somebody else's words, they don't quite come out the same. It's not what you say, it's just how you say it. If it sounds natural, it's going to flow right out, no problem. And a lot of practice, starting today. You're going to start, I expect you to start doing that. Take your education, list the high schools, list what qualities and attributes you want to talk about, and then write 21 career. Go to work history, write down work history, what qualities and attributes you want to bullet to them, and then why. Related experiences, if you have, you all have them because you're taking these classes. I have related experiences. I've taken 6 classes, whatever classes, and you can bullet them. Fire prevention, pretty important. We do it every day, right? Building construction, we're dealing with fires in buildings, very important. Products of fire combustion, how things burn, very important. Of course, I talk about this much on that, but so you have a lot to talk about. That's a good related experience if you don't have anything else. If you were military, yeah, that's a big one. If you've been to a fire academy, of course. Rode a rescue, yeah. But if you had none of those and you didn't, I would still say talk about these classes. So then they're going to say, okay, we're going to ask you a couple questions now. Guaranteed they're going to ask you about creative problem solving, adaptability. Well, guess what? In your opening statement, when you were talking about your work history, you mentioned that many times you had to problem solve, and many times you had to do creative problem solving, think outside the box. You're going to use that word, but many times I had to think outside the box. I'm leading up because I know they're going to ask me a question. So they already heard, wow. So I'm going to say, okay, Victor, you mentioned in your opening that you have to do problem solving in your work. Could you give us a story about problem solving in your work? Well, you've already got your story because it's my book. You've wrote everything down in your book. So when they ask, you just go to that page and you're gonna it's already memorized, and you're gonna shoot it out to them about you're gonna have a story on creative problem solving or adaptability. You already talked about your education, why it wasn't so important. They're going to probably ask a question. What's the most important educational, what's the most important education you've had in the last 3 years? For many of you, it's going to be EMT because it's 90% of what we do. Well, I would have to say, I have a bachelor's degree. It was really important, but I want to talk about being an EMT. It's 90% of what a firefighter does. And maybe you've only used it a few times, maybe at work, whatnot, but that would be something you want to talk about. So they're going to ask questions on your educational background. They're going to ask about compassion. Tell about a time you helped a total stranger. Have you ever helped a friend who was in need? Have you ever helped somebody that was struggling? They're looking for that behavior in you. Guess what? You already got ahead of it. 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 You alre because you talked about how involved you are in your community, how you witnessed firefighters are like that. They like to help others. You see how this works? You're ahead of the curve here. Everything they're asking you, you've already talked about. They're going to talk about teamwork. You already talked about it. You talked about it when you're at school, sports, and you talked about your work. Working as part of a team. Now they're just going to ask you a deeper question on that. So I'm going to kind of go through this real quick because it's not really important. There's different types of questions they can ask you, but they're going to ask, this is what they call a behavioral interview. Most are going this way, not all, but most are behavior. And they align your past behaviors to future behaviors. If you think about it, it makes sense. All of you went to high school, going to college, you're working. You're doing all these things, you're moving forward, and then you're going to go to the fire academy. Some of you paramedic school, you're doing this progression. It shows a behavior. Can I only assume that if I hire you, you're going to continue that behavior down the road? You're going to be the good firefighter, maybe promote to engineer, take classes to get better, whatever. Of course, if you've only been educated, but never worked, I don't know. It's like they've never worked. They're good at school, but are they good at work? If you've only been to work and never been to school, remember, I told you in the academy, 21 careers, they're going to throw the book at you for 20 weeks and for 1 year. Are you going to be prepared for it because you have no education? So you got to have a blend of all these. All of you are in my class, so I know you're in college. You're good. You're all golden. Perfect. So past behaviors will generally dictate future behaviors. And then competency means just tell a story that shows that you have that behavior. So most have gone to competency and behavioral. This is just telling you this is just saying what I already told you, so you can look at it later if you want. So the story is going to ask you, so what does all that mean? The board is going to ask you to tell a story. You mentioned that you are good on your feet. You can think and react on your feet, stressful situation. Could you tell me about a time at work that you did that? That's the question. That's adaptability. And you're going to tell a story about it to show you have that behavior. You mentioned compassion. Could you tell about a time that you had compassion, you showed compassion for a random stranger? Could you talk about your education and tell us what was the most significant educational experience in your life? You mentioned you have a lot of teamwork. You mentioned teamwork when you're talking about your work. Could you tell about a time that you were the leader of a team and how you led that team? You know, okay, guess what? You've already planned it. Every one of these things you've done, it's already in your book. If you do this right, the hard part is you have to act like you're thinking. You already know it's right here. I already wrote it down, but I got to act like, okay, that's a great question. Okay, what I'd like to talk about, and then you're going to tell the story, but you've already got the story ready to go. The story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A lot of detail. I had a guy today, he worked in the military, and I asked about adaptability. He said, well, I was working in Bosnia, and right away I said, awesome, because that catches your ear, like, oh, Bosnia. And our job was, we left off a lot of good things. What it came down to was they had IV bags that they had to put into people, but they were too cold, so they weren't working. And what he did to heat up the stuff, it was very innovative. It was a really good story, and that was able to get the fluids to these people. So when I talk to you, and if you want, I'm more than willing to sit down with you. It costs you a cup of coffee. But I will tell you a lot of detail, because people on my side of the table, sometimes I don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what you're talking about. If you've been to a fire academy, you talk about the irons, they don't know what the irons are. So it's important to get into detail. And that way you bring both of those people into your story. And all of you have great stories, trust me. So tell about a time you helped a total stranger. So last Wednesday, I went to Subway and I noticed there was a homeless person out front. So I just felt compelled to do this. I bought a sandwich and I gave it to them afterwards. Who can tell me how I did? A, B, if you were to rate me, is that an A, B, C answer? Anyone, please.
I'd give you a B, Captain Kearns.
Okay, then you're being nice, Brian, because that really wasn't a B. So did I say how I got that behavior? Did I say why I did what I did and how it relates to being a firefighter? I bought somebody a sandwich. That didn't say anything about me and how it relates to me. This is your shining chance. As soon as they ask that question, I have to figure out what is the foundation to that question. Why are they asking this question? Total stranger, I know compassion. They want to know about compassion. Now, of course, I've already done my homework. So another way to answer that question is, well, that's a great question. You know, in taking my fire science classes, going to the fire academy, I've learned that firefighters, not only they're very active in the community, but they also have a lot of compassion about them. They're very involved in their communities. They will stop. I've witnessed them stopping what they do to help somebody else randomly. And they have this behavior. I have that behavior. That's the way I've been raised. My mother and father raised me to look for opportunities to help others. We were very involved in our church doing this type of work. To give you a story, well, the other day, it just happened yesterday. I went to Subway and I saw a homeless man outside. So it's just the way I've been raised, knowing that's probably what a firefighter would do too. I bought a sandwich and gave it to him. It's the exact same story, but look what I did. I gave a whole backstory on why I have that behavior. I was raised that way, so I got a lot of that behavior. I witnessed it amongst firefighters. In fact, and then yesterday, I just showed you that behavior, one behavior, but I've been raised to do it, to think like that my whole life. Have you ever invented, this was kind of a groupie question, but have you ever invented anything to make something easier at work? Have you ever problem solved? Have you ever had to think outside the box? That's what that question is. Have you ever been the leader of a group and been asked to carry out the wishes of your boss, let's say? And I told you, how have you used your education in order to improve yourself? So every question, as soon as they start a question, and you have to think like this, it's all done in your head, it's all done beforehand, is why are they asking this question? What category are we in? So you have to listen to the question. Tell us about a time you helped a total stranger. Perfect. I know we're talking about compassion. Got it. Tell about a time you had to creative problem solve at work. Got it. Adaptability, problem solving. Got my story all ready to go. Tell about a time you were in a team and you were the leader of the team. How did you lead them? Got it. Right there. Tell about a time you were in a team. You were not the leader, but you had more experience than the leader. How'd you handle that? No problem. I know I'm in teamwork. Whether you're the leader or the follower, whether you're the most knowledgeable or not the most knowledgeable, you're going to give everything you can to the team and to the leader. You're not going to take over. That's how it works. Teamwork. A fire truck pulls up, and let me just show you up here. So, fire truck pulls up. And guess what? The engineer could be a 6. I could be a 7. Rookie could be, let's just say he's a 5 on this run. And the other fireman is a 8. Really? That's the level of experience and training when we pull up. Because We might be on an electrical problem, and this guy here worked for water and power. So he's going to have more experience than me. Or we're on a medical call and he's a paramedic. He's the highest medical authority. So anytime they talk about teamwork, you've learned we all have a different level of experience and training. When we arrive on scene, we combine that experience and training and we bring success to difficult situations. And that's what happens on every run we go on. These numbers are constantly changing because every day you're with new people. We combine our level of experience and training and we bring success from difficult situations. And that's what teamwork is all about. Make sense? So you got to figure out the foundation. Now, but next, more importantly, once you get the foundation, what most don't do is they don't preface the story, which is the answer, the story here, with experience. So let me explain what I'm talking about. I did it on the compassion one. Let me do it on the, let's say they give me one for, could you talk about a time you had to do creative problem solving? Wow, that's a great question. Previously, I talked about, I worked here, military, tell them where you work. I have a lot of experience in every one of those positions where they've challenged me to problem solve, many times really stressful problem solving. But I think the story I'd like to talk about right now, what did I just do there? Hang on, I got a million stories. Let me get my file cabinet out. I got a ton of experience. Here's my one story. Versus if you just jump into your one story, do I know you have a lot of behaviors? By doing what I do, saying, well, in this job challenged me to problem solve on a daily basis. I just said, I got 100 behaviors in that subject you're talking about. Okay, here's the one I'm going to talk about. This is the one in the interview, kids always forget. They go right to the story. What's the foundation? What's my experience? If you do your homework right, the minute you know the foundation, you already know what experience you're going to talk about because you already planned on it. This is all written down. So down here, I would write teamwork. Over here on my paper, I would write a bullet with each thing: high school sports, college sports, work history, bingo. And then I already know my story written down over here, and then the bridge. So every possible question they can ask you, you've already got it covered. So they can ask you, when have you been part of a team? You know the foundation's teamwork, right? So question is, okay. So everything I'm going to show you now, I ever talked about. The minute they ask a question, what's the foundation? Now relate your experiences. This is the most missed one out there. They go right to the story. Then answer the question. Vary your experiences. You don't want to keep talking about the same job. Maybe mix in a couple of jobs if you've had them. It's okay. Okay. They may talk about conflict. Most times they do. Diversity, guaranteed you're going to get one on diversity. Don't freak out about it. It's nothing. It's just we all bring something different to the table. We work on the engine together, and we service a community that is extremely diverse. You understand that what diversity means. It could be anything from the smells, the types of foods, the color of our skin, our gender. It's everything. We all come together on the fire truck to serve these same type people. Anyone should be able to look at a fire truck and say, I can be on that fire truck. And that's how it works, right? Conflict. I'm going to give you conflict resolution training right now. If they ask you, have you ever had a conflict with a supervisor? Have you ever had a conflict with another employee? Yes. Oh, like, oh, you had a conflict? So, yeah, I was working at Cheesecake Factory, and now notice I had the question, but I went right into a story. I'm not going to talk about a lot of experiences in conflict, right? So I'm going to go right to one story. Well, let me think. Oh, I can think of one. So I was picking up the food one day, and I noticed another server bumped into me and kind of glared at me. I went, wow, that's weird. So I took the food and I took care of my station, and I noticed this person kept glaring at me like they were upset with me. And I've had conflict resolution training, so I knew we need to talk. So I asked my manager if we could sit down and talk. He gave us 5 minutes together, and I asked him, why are you seem upset with me? And he said, well, you're serving table 14. That's my table. You're stealing my tips. He said, no, I'm not. No, the manager told me to take that table. You're going to get the banquet hall tonight. You're part of the team that's going in there. And so he knows you're going to get a really big tip tonight. So he wanted to give me this to help me out. And so I learned that this conflict resolution training worked in that many times we see half the story or we hear half the story. We don't have the full story. We get the whole story by communicating with one another, because we're not here to conflict. We're here to serve the public. The bridge, if I think that another firefighter has a problem with me, we're going to talk, because somebody doesn't have the whole story, and we're going to iron this thing out, because we do not want to conflict, because we are here to serve the public. So what you've learned and now been trained that you can, if they ask about conflict in the workplace, you can say, well, I've had conflict resolution training. And you can tell them, I've learned through experience and through this training that people see half the story, they hear half the story. You need to communicate with that other person, come to a happy mediation, because it's not about us, it's about the public. So the story I would probably talk about, and then I would tell that story about the Cheesecake Factory. So you just killed that question. And you even got to bring in prior experiences, because you said you've had conflict resolution training and you've witnessed people having half the story and so forth. And you may be a supervisor. I work with some people sometimes who say, oh, as a supervisor, I had to sit 2 people down and mediate between them. And again, the story was somewhere in the middle. So that's conflict. All the stuff I already told you. So, okay. So the questions I talked about were behavioral questions. Tell about a time you helped a total stranger, compassion. Tell about a time you're part of a team. Tell a story. Tell me a story. And they'll say, tell me a story. Sometimes they ask a question. That's called a case question, C-A-S-E. Smaller departments who have a captain, an engineer, and 2 firefighters sitting there, they're not HR people. They usually don't do behavioral interviews. They just ask you questions. What would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? And they just want to see how mature you are. And do you have some experience in your background? So I always say, never assume in these types of questions. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Get the facts. It's never what you think. They're going to paint a picture. It's not what you're thinking. Be positive. Remember, firefighters are not going to betray the public's trust. That's how you're thinking going in here. They're not going to betray the public's trust. Have firefighters betrayed the public's trust? Absolutely. I had an engineer who was in prison for murder. So yeah, that's kind of a betrayal of the public, right? So, but in an interview, you don't know any of this. You just know that they've all been through background process. They're all, good to go. Turn what appears to be a negative into a positive. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go back to these. I don't know, that's screen got ahead. but they're going to ask questions, behavioral questions generally. They could ask case questions, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And then they're done. They're going to turn and say, do you have any other questions? No, I don't either. Okay, Brian, this is your time. Is there, we're going to close this thing out. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Now, maybe you're a paramedic and you just flamed out in there and you totally forgot to tell them, I'm a paramedic and why it's so important to be a firefighter. Yeah, you know what? I was so nervous that I left this off. That's okay. But generally, we know what we got what we got. We're happy. But like I said, if you miss something major, get it in now. But this is basically your score is done. After the opening, you're pretty much over. So I've never say never, always avoid always. I've never had a closing statement where I went, oh my God, what was I thinking? This is a 100. I already know I already kind of know. So English 101. Thesis statement, defend it, tell them what you already told them. If you're going to tell them what you already told them. Be positive, leave them with a promise. I think I've got in everything I wanted to get in. I think what I'd like to leave you with is that I came here today to demonstrate to you that I have the credentials to be an outstanding firefighter. I believe I've accomplished this through years of hard work and determination, and I'm going to continue the same work ethic throughout my career. And I told my board, I said, I want you to know I'm going to graduate #1 in my class. I want to thank you for your time. You know what I graduated in my class? Number uno. So I told that chief later on, I said, hey, I don't know if you remember. I told you, he didn't remember. I said, I told you I was going to graduate #1. I did. So, but if you leave them with a promise that I'm going to, work hard and every day throughout my career, and you're going to be proud. I said on one of my interview boards, I said, you're going to be proud to say that you sat on my interview board one day. I didn't get picked. I had a high score, but they didn't get to me. But it kind of a promise. And this doesn't make or break you. Your score's done. Okay. Interviewing's a game. We deal the cards, but you hold all the aces because you're prepared. If you get fooled, shame on you. You talk to people, you got your opening statement, types of questions they can ask you, behaviors, know their core values, what core value directly relates to you. If I can say, hey, Jaime, what core value you just talked about? Which one best represents you? It shouldn't surprise me. I already thought of it. So these are all things you prepare for in advance. So opening statement, question and answer, closing, and you're out the door. So case questions, never assume. It's never what you think. Be positive, I told you. Firefighters are not going to betray the public's trust. They've been through a rigorous background check. They're the leaders of their community. So, Brian, I don't want to pick on you, but I know you talked to me before. But Brian, this is a typical case question. Brian, you put up a ladder, and it's too short to the building. What are you going to do? So, what's the foundation? What do you think the foundation is to that question? The ladder's too short.
You want to know something about problem solving, how you're going to interact with the team,
Okay.
solutions, situational awareness, things like that.
Very good. And what else besides problem solving? What's wrong with the ladder being too short? What can happen?
You can fall.
Which is what kind of an issue?
Safety.
Beautiful. So right off the bat, this is a safety problem solving issue. So I already know Captain Kearns said, go to my experiences. So Brian, what is your work history?
I'm a troubleman for SoCal Edison.
Oh, beautiful. And what do you do?
I'm a troubleman. I'm the guy that shows up when you call for the utility.
Beautiful. That's very good. So would you say you problem solve on a daily basis?
Absolutely.
So and how do you say that word?
Troubleman, like a
Oh,
trouble.
trouble man. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am a troubleman for Southern California Edison. For the past X number of years, that is what I do. I'm a problem solver. Not only do I fix problems, but I have to be safe. I have safety meetings on a weekly basis. So you have all this stuff you can preload, because basically all you're going to do is, I've learned in fire science class, the ladder's too short. Ladders should be minimum 3 feet above a roof. If you can remember that, that's great. 6 to 8 is better. But I know if it's too short, that's a safety issue. Through my past experience, I realized I would take this ladder down and get the proper size ladder. Versus if somebody said, well, that's a safety issue, I take the ladder down and get the proper size ladder, Brian's going to maximize his answer, because he's going to talk about, I have all this experience and training in the subject matter. The bottom line, I'm just going to take the ladder down and get a new one. So, Captain, okay. Captain asks you to go to the rig and get a fitting at a fire. So come back to the rig, get a 2.5 inch fitting, a double male. You run to the rig. While you're there, a woman runs up to you with what appears to be the lifeless body of a 2-year-old child and says, my baby's not breathing, my baby's not breathing. What are you going to do? So obviously they put you in this situation where Captain has asked you to do something, and the woman obviously thinks this is a major situation. So Captain Kearns told you, was when they ask a question, what is the foundation? Anytime a captain or a higher rank asks you to do something, that's an order. We need this fitting. And I showed you a picture in another lecture of a building with people hanging out of a building all over the place. And I told them, and you've learned, how do we save those people? Put water on the fire, right? So this fitting that the captain asked for could be the one that's going to save all those people in the building, and I stopped to help the woman. So you're caught in a bad situation because I got to do what the captain told me to do. So some things you can talk about, well, I have a radio, I'll get on the radio. What's not working? It's too busy. Well, if you know, I've either been an explorer, cadet, or I've been to fire academy. At an incident, there's an engineer assigned to the fire truck. I can marry her up with him. Well, he's not there. So they're throwing stumbling blocks in. All they're getting at is they want to see if you're going to make a decision. The order is going to take precedent. So if you're going to say, you could say, well, sir, if push come to shove, I'm going to tell her, sit down here on the fire truck. I'm going to get you help. But this fitting could save 50 lives. I haven't even had a chance to look at the baby. Maybe she's a first-time mother. It's just she's sleeping hard. I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but that could save 50. Because if you go with a baby, I guarantee you they're going to say they burned up in the fire. An order is an order. But I tried on the radio, I tried the rig radio, I tried to pass them off to the engineer, maybe send her over to the command post. So it shows you're trying. But bottom line, I got to get the fitting to the captain. Captain in the lineup says, hey, so-and-so is missing this Rolex. He doesn't know where it is. You go to the locker, your locker, and you're getting your stuff in your locker, and the engineer next to you, his locker is open, and you see the watch. What is the assumption there? They say, what are you going to do? It's in the engineer's locker. What are you going to do? What is the assumption? I said, never assume, be positive, get the facts. We know for a fact he didn't steal it. Oh, I'd say, you found the watch. Awesome. That's great. Awesome. Because we know he didn't steal the watch. Now, if they tell you, no, he stole the watch, that's a different story. Now he has betrayed the public's trust. So, to show maturity, instead of running to the captain and saying, no, the guy stole the watch, I caught him, right? You're going to be a man about it and say, hey, look, I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell the captain you've got the watch. I'm not going to say anything. But if you don't, I have to tell the captain. If you're not sure, the board tells you he stole it, then you can't tell the board, no, he's not gonna steal it because they told you he stole it. So same thing with an overhaul pile after a fire, and the engineer's watering the overhaul pile, and he picks a watch out of the pile and puts it into his pocket. Did he steal the watch? No, he saved it. So it's never what they're trying to picture. That same engineer walks up to you in the morning. Hey, good morning. How are you? How was your day off? What's the assumption? He's altered. He's been drinking. No, this is a medical emergency. You have a chance to talk about your EMT background and say, what I witnessed here, I'm not assuming this man is. I learned in EMT school, if you're altered, it's AEIOU tips. It's alcohol, epilepsy, insulin, TIA. It's one of these. In this situation, I believe the man is either he needs insulin or he's having a cranial bleed. This is a medical emergency. This is a safety issue because we can't take him on the fire truck right now. We've got to see how I did that? It's never something bad. Now they say, no, he's drunk. Well, sir, he has betrayed the public's trust. But what I'm going to tell him is, the captain needs to know ASAP. This is a safety issue, and we may get a call. He cannot go on the run. So the captain needs to know as soon as possible. But I'm going to tell this person, look, I'll go with you, but you got to tell the captain what's going on. If you don't, I have to tell the captain. But I'll be there for you afterwards. I'll be there for your family as a teammate. But for right now, we got to get you help. And that's a mature way of, instead of running to the captain and ratting him out, say, hey, look, you tell the captain, I'll be right there with you. But if he says no, I have to. And that's the mature way of answering that question. Same idea here. Bottle of Jack under the engineer's bed. The assumption is it's the engineers. And let's say I'm on your shift and our engineer's a crusty old guy who hates rookies. So I take a bottle, empty bottle of Jack Daniels, and I put iced tea in it. And I stick it under the engineer's bed and you find it. And then you go up to the engineer and say, is this yours? I found this under your bed, right? And I watch the fireworks. So in an interview, the assumption is somebody's drinking on that. Well, no, we're not going to betray the public's trust. So how do I talk about this? And where do I go? So in my prior work experience, in fact, in my sports days, the new guy, the kind of people sometimes like to play tricks on guys. And if you're the new guy, they might be testing you. In this situation, I have a feeling they might be trying to have some fun with me because I know firefighters are not going to betray the public's trust. I don't believe for a second this is actually Jack Daniels. And what I do is I put it in a bag and throw it away in the trash. And the reason I put it into a bag is so if the public walks by and they look in the barrel, they won't think that firefighters are drinking Jack Daniels. So, and that's how I handle the situation. Well, no, it is Jack Daniels. Well, that's serious. Now, again, I don't know if it's the engineers. All I can do is take this to the captain and say, here's what I found, but that's all I know. And that because in our rules and regs, you can't have alcohol on board. So you go never assume, be positive, don't be negative. And if they turn the table and you say, no, this is what it is, then it's easy. Somebody betrayed the public's trust, captain has to know. I talked about that one. So you get back from a run, the engineer comes up in your face screaming at you, everything you did wrong. Next run, he's on your face, he or she's in your face, screaming at you, everything you did wrong, over and over and over. How are you going to handle that? They want you to think it's conflict. But in reality, anybody know what an engineer is doing? That engineer is training you and it's giving you valuable feedback, which you welcome. The style, not so great, but everything he's yelling at you that you did wrong, I'm gonna write it down. I welcome his feedback. Yeah, I'm trying to be the best I can be. So he has a lot of experience, he or she has a lot of experience. So when they have something to say, I'm gonna take it. Maybe their delivery is a little different, but I don't care. Like I said, with their experience, I welcome any feedback I can get. So again, turning what seems to be a negative into a positive. I'm not gonna worry about this one because it's only been asked one time since I've heard out there, so it's kind of a dumb one. So foundational question, the ladder's too short, that's a safety one. Captain asks you to do something, that's an order. Any kind of how you work within team is pretty easy. Teamwork ones are pretty easy. Conflict resolution, if they talk about conflict, you've had training, because Captain Kearns just trained you today. So I've had conflict resolution training, and here's what I've learned. Integrity, honesty, all of those are a misperception. It's not what it seems. Anything to do with honesty, any kind of stealing, innocent, no, didn't happen. Sexual harassment, again, misperception. Because firefighters are not going to betray the public's trust. I told you they do, but in an interview, you don't know that. So, and trust, teamwork, that had to do with sometimes they're going to see how you react to situations, see how well you work within a team. The bottle of Jack under the bed, believe it or not, is actually kind of a teamwork. They want to see how you're going to act as a teammate. Are you going to run right to the captain, say, somebody's drinking Jack Daniel, or are you going to be more mature about it? Use your experience and say, you know what, I think I'm being set up here, and you're going to just throw it away. Okay. So that is on the module. Obviously, we're recording right now. It'll be on there. Interviews that have interviews coming up, and whenever, Mike Katani, myself, give me a call. Now with Zoom, I just Zoom with you. It's just easier, and we go over. But what can I do, Captain Kearns, at home right now tonight? And I'll tell you what I would do. I would think of that education, work history, related experiences, volunteer in my community, and I'd start setting up a 3-part process. Education. We all know what high school, colleges we went to. What attributes, what bullets would I like to spit out to them? It's just bullets. It taught me, it shows dedication and commitment. It shows that I can plan and organize my time. It shows this or whatever it is, bullet, boom, 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 boom. If they want to ask a question, they will. By the way, Brian, the best interview guy I ever got. He came in dressed almost exactly how you're dressed right now, sat down, but he worked for Water and Power. And it reminded me of you. And I made the assumption that this guy he couldn't put on a suit and tie. What the heck? Because back then you fill out an application. His application was in handwriting. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's the assumption I had on my end. I was going, give me a break. Well, unbeknownst to me, he walked in off the street, he's a lineman, he walked in off the street, and he said, I'd like to get an application for the fire department. They said, well, if you want, if you can fill it out right now, people aren't showing up, you can go in right now today. So he walked in, just how you are right now, minus the hat. He had a t-shirt, jeans, work boots, walks in the door. And he got done. And many of the things I'm teaching you today, I took from him. I gave him a 100. The guy was phenomenal. He knew how to connect the dots. His education, he actually held up his application. He said, this bachelor's degree, it's a piece of paper. But I think more importantly, what it shows is that, it taught me good time management skills. And he hit all those bullets. It was outstanding. I was like, oh my God, I was kind of writing notes. And a lot of what I talk about today came from this guy. And so Brian, you reminded me of him today. I was kind of laughing, going, oh, okay, I remember that guy. He looked like a Kurt Russell, just like him. And I don't know if he ever made it or not. It's hard to say, but I gave him honor. So you can start writing down, all of you out there, what education, where you've been, what you got out of it, how it relates. That's easy. 21 career, done. Work history, where did I work? What bullets do I want to talk about? Obviously, you're going to say customer service, communicative skills, situational awareness, teamwork, creative problem solving, chain of command, and so those are for sure going to be in there. And then how it relates. Any related experiences that you have. Your related experiences, EMT, whatever, what bullets, and then how it relates, and finally, involvement in the community. All of you have done something in your community that relates. Talk about it. So you can have it already, get a template down there. I know many of you are in Mike's class, you have to sit down and get interviewed, and then you work your way to the top person. So it's very cool. And I'm kind of piggybacking on that with Mike. We've talked it over, and that's how he wanted to do it, 151. And I hit you with this because we keep wanting to emphasize to all of you how important that 20-minute interview is. It's everything. It's what it's all about. I know I've been talking for an hour, but please, if you have questions, stop me and ask me questions. But anybody have a question out there? No? Okay, good. That's a good day. I want to go over one thing. I want to go over, which I didn't go over. Hang on one sec. Did they change the Canvas page on your guys? Did they change it on you? The Canvas page where you go in? Mine's totally different. I'm like, this. I don't know if this is what. Let me see if this is what you're showing. What you're seeing.
They changed the My VCCD app.
This is what I'm looking at now, and I just get my feet on the ground, and all of a sudden it's completely different. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, pissed me off. And,
Yeah,
so,
it changed.
They always have to put the new person has to put their new touch on it, but I'll put online. Okay, what I was going to go over. Which I forgot in class today, but that's all right. Okay. Oh, last week was hazard materials. I remember that. This is the one I want to go over because people really struggle with this. So I want to go over it again. This is basic stuff here. So what is that? It's a truck. That's all it is, truck. Okay. What's this? Type 1 or type 2 engine? Engine, I'd be happy with. Cal Fire, type 3, because I said what type engine? Type 3. I got all kinds of answers. Again, why does the engine follow the truck on a lot of fire departments? The reason, the truck is a giant toolbox, no water. If they're on scene first, they're an engine company. Remember I told you, first thing we do, reseal, put water on the fire, rescue people. So if the truck goes up, gets there, puts an aerial on the roof, they all climb up to the roof and they're cutting a hole, people inside are burning up. So their job is to run back to the pump where there's one guy. Now they're an engine. They abandoned the truck. So that's why it follows the truck wherever they go. So they can either become an engine or truck work. If the engines are on scene, they're going to go cut holes. Okay. So this one, smaller department, has a pump panel. So they're getting a truck and an engine built into one. It's called a quint. I don't think I went over this one right here. That's a single bit axe, flathead axe, and the Halligan, and we keep them together, and they're called the irons. They're used to break into things. Some people call them the keys to the city, right? Four-way valve. God, I got all people were cutting and pasting all kinds of weird stuff. It's pretty funny. Four-way valve. Very simply, hunk of metal with 4 ports. Water comes from the hydrant, goes to the fire truck, and then goes to the fire. So hydrant pressure going to the fire. If we want to pump up the pressure, we put 2 more lines into the fire truck into a separate pumper. He switches the valve. Now it comes into his rig and he pumps it up and sends it off. So we've gone from very simply hydrant pressure to pump pressure without interruption of the flow of water. That's it. I got every answer in the world. It was pretty funny. I know a lot of people don't watch these, they just take the quiz. And then shame on them, they're not going to learn that much, but that's up to them. So what do we need as a rescue air cushion? We need 2 blowers and we need drop bags to pull it into position, because if you don't, it's not good. How many inches of the chainsaw do we use? So I think people went into the internet, Google that, and I kept getting the same answer: 14 to 16 inches of it. It was pretty funny. That's and that's really good if you're cutting through a log. We're cutting on a roof you're standing on, which is why we only cut with the upper 3 inches of the bar. So we don't cut through the very piece of wood we're standing on. If you cut 14 inches of that bar, you're going to cut through everything and the roof's going to collapse. So I know they didn't watch the Zoom. What is a drop bag used for? Number 1 is to go above ground, throw it down and pull things up. We can also use it to move the rescue air cushion. We can also use it to go into a structure, tie it off and go in, and we have a rope or an umbilical cord to find our way back out. I don't like using them because they get caught up on things so easy. I don't usually use a drop bag. I usually use a smaller, like a 1-inch line, and that has more tension to it. It's easier to follow out and to get around corners and things like that. What type engine? 6 or 7, doesn't matter. Type 6, type 7. It's really just a Ford chassis truck, could be a dually. In the back is a plastic container filled with water. It has a Briggs & Stratton pump with some hose or maybe a reel, so we can real quick and fast get in, pull the hose out, squirt a little bit, get in the thing and drive away real quick. Okay, it's called a patrol tank in our department. I didn't talk about this. What class license do you need to drive a fire truck? To get on the department, class C. To drive a fire truck, it's class B as in boy. And I didn't count people off for that because I don't remember talking about it. So some people, if you have it in an interview, tell them. It's one more thing you have and you understand. So it's, remember, if I ever tell them I have something, why is it important? In your opening statement, I also have a class B driver's license. I know once I get off probation, they're going to want to train me to be able to get my class B license. I've just alleviated a lot of training there because now I already have that training, right? Because we have to put a lot of effort into getting you trained on our fire truck to get the class B license. You've already got it. The day you get off probation, I put you in the front seat and we start training you. And I'm going to tell you to you're going to get your class B license. We're going to start driving you. Not emergency to the market, not emergency. After we go on a run, you're going to drive home. We want you driving a lot so you get used to it, so you can get your license. Why? Because we're changing seats all the time in a lot of departments. Somebody has to go for training. Engineer's gone. Okay, Brian, you're driving. Okay, Jaime, you're driving. So and so. It happens every day. How many blades come with the rotor saw? There's 4 blades: diamond, metal, masonry, and carbide. That's it. I got 20, 16, whatever. Well, yeah, you can buy as many as you want. We have 4 types out there. Pre-attached is the metal cutting blade. And the why is because most of the time we're trying to cut into a building to get to The doors that they have, bars over the doors, bars over the windows, cut into, like our double doors at school has a latch that comes down, we can cut that latch. So we keep pre-attached, generally a metal cutting blade. How many members minimum are needed to set the rest of our air cushion? I've mentioned 4, 1 for each corner. 6 is better because I say 4 because 2 could hook up the blowers and then 4 can pull it in position, but you really need 6 because think about it. Those people have to pick up the blowers and run those into position too. So really 6, I think I said 4 in the lecture, but if really 1 for each corner and then 2 pulling the blowers, so 6. Heard all things about this, all kinds of things about this rig here. Bottom line, yes, it's not 4-wheel drive, I agree, but it's not enclosed. Because sometimes these still go to fire, they go to bush fires, our fire trucks, our type 1s or type 2s, they still go. But this is definitely not going to go because it's not enclosed, they could get burned up. I didn't talk about a pipe pole. It's got 2 prongs on the end. This was developed in a guy in LA City Fire Department made this. And so Dave Krupka loves to call it the LA City trash hook. And he's right, because we had trash trucks catch fire. And when they do, we have the guy literally open the back up and dump the whole load in the street. And we start spraying it down. And he was using a pipe pole. We used to use pipe poles to try to pull it apart to squirt it. And this guy came up with the idea of this one to have more area to pull on. And I like it better anyways on a roof. I'm not a pipe pole fan at all. If I'm going to break ceiling above me, I'd rather have that because I have more area to smash up into the drywall above me to make a hole for ventilation. Next one, rescue the airbags. We talked about those. 19, I got people telling me tree cutters, and that is a tree cutter, but had they watched the video, they would know. And I said, I could not find a picture of a mechanical axe used for cutting electrical wires. Couldn't find it. So I put this in here just to show you that, but it looks a lot like this, although the cutting here, I told you it's 10,000 volts. So that's mechanical axe. And then yes, I got a lot of people telling me you absolutely cannot cut wires. Yes, we do. And we usually cut anything 600 or less, we're allowed to. I've been on scene where I've had guys cut things that were 2,400. And it actually, the blade was actually kind of really almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Put a big divot in the blade. It's pretty impressive. But he was a guy that used to work for Water and Power. And I said, hey, can we cut this? He goes, oh yeah, give me that thing. He went over and cut it, no problem. I didn't want to cut it. I was like, and he was a firefighter, but he had a lot of experience. Okay, so that's what I wanted to go over this week. I was kind of feeling like some people missed the mark on that. Okay, the next thing I want to work on, I know. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do it up here. Hang on one sec. That can go. Download so much crud I can never. Read the top. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. A better system. That's not what I wanted. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay. So, daily routine of a firefighter. People just don't know what we do. So sometimes you just, I'm going to take you through a typical day of a fire department. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to do a rookie, but it can be anybody. Get there at 6:30. You're generally going to be the first one there. Open the gate, leave it open for the others. You're there, make coffee, put up a flag. If there is a newspaper, bring it in. So you're just doing some busy work in the morning. Get your PPEs. You're not on duty yet, but get your PPEs, put them by the fire truck. Just have them ready to go. Go to the front office and look in the journal. We physically write down everything we do, every run we go on, anything that happens, we write it in a journal. Read it, see what happened the day before, what equipment they used, anything that was out of the ordinary, things you may need to know. There's a lot of good information in that. Check what kind of training we're going to do for the day. You're going to already know. I give a rookie a month in advance. I hand you a sheet of all the training we're going to do for the next month and what your drills are going to be. So you know you have plenty of time. But you always want to double check it. It's called the 957. Every fire station you walk into, it's on the wall. The journal's sitting on the desk. You just open it up, read what they did. Brian, do you guys keep ledgers of things that you do throughout the day? How do you keep track of it?
It's through our dispatch has a log of everything because we're all separate in our own trucks. We don't necessarily show up to the same place every day.
Right. Now, you personally, are you logging down things that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I have my timesheet and there are descriptions of everything that I am encountering.
Which is like your journal. Okay.
Yeah.
So start your inventory, look around the rig, don't make a lot of noise. People still might be sleeping. So at a certain time, the day's going to start. So now you can put your stuff on the rig. Take the other person. If I'm a nozzleman, I take the nozzle person's stuff off the rig. No one else's. And the next day he's going to switch. He or she's going to switch out with me. Now I can turn on the SCBA, make sure it's full. Because sometimes somebody forgets. It's down a little bit. Oh, shoot. Take it off the rig, put a new bottle in, get it back on the rig. We want a fresh bottle. So your battery, take the battery out. I don't care if it looks totally charged, forget it. Take it out, put it in the charger, get a new one. Trust me on that. Don't assume, right? Now, find your relief. If you're a nozzle person, I find the nozzle person and I talk to the nozzle person. By the way, we're looking at the PowerPoint on duties of a firefighter listed out, or is it just me talking?
Yes, we're looking at it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. The captain 2 finds the captain 2, the captain 1 finds the captain 1, and so forth. And you talk to them. Now, I've already read the journal, but I'm still going to talk to the captain. What happened yesterday? What do I need to know? Oh, you know what? I didn't have time to put in the journal, and he tells me more information. You're like, oh, perfect. Thank you. So we learn a lot during this time. And everybody's doing it throughout the station. That's what the journal looks like. Obviously, it's newer than that. But interestingly enough, I can go down to the archives, and they allow this, and I can go into a journal from 1925, and I can find a journal where my grandfather was on duty and the stuff he did that day. I'm able to look at it. It's pretty cool. They have them back from the very beginning. So you're going to do an inventory check. You're going to check everything on that rig, all the nooks and crannies. Meanwhile, the captain, the engineer, both firefighters, we're all doing our inventory. Make sure everything's on the fire truck. We're making face-to-face. All over the station, 2 people are talking to each other. hey, what was your day like, blah, blah, blah. You never assume your relief is there. So let's say I worked and I know, oh, Jim's always here, he'll be here. And I go out the back door and I drive home. What happened with Jim that day? He called in sick, right? So that's why you have to see the person you're going to relieve, and that's happened. You never assume. You have to see your relief. This is not working. That's still good. My computer is for us. That doesn't really work. I've never had that happen before. It won't move to the next slide. It won't escape. I wonder what I did. Anybody have any ideas? Normally I can escape out. That's not working. That's not working.
I'd suggest you get the irons out.
I know. I'm going to beat it with an axe. That's always a good one, right? Okay, let's. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me try it this way. That is the strangest thing. I can't. Stand by, people. Look at this. Okay, good. Go automatic on this. Plan B. I like clicking bit by bit. I don't like doing page by page on here, but we're going to have to. Just take a second to download. Okay. So. Okay, face-to-face journal. After your face-to-face, complete your inventory of the rig. There's, as a rookie, there's going to be a little bit of time before lineup. You're going to have duties. Some might be clean the downstairs bathroom, fill the Coke machine. They'll tell you what to do. They want done in between when you get there after your inventory and so forth, and lineup. And generally, rookies work together. So one's coming on, one's going off. The one going off generally will take care of those other things. I'll clean the bathroom, I'll get the Coke machine. You worry about taking care of the rig. And then the next day they reciprocate. So they have a pretty good routine they work on. We call those morning duties. 8 o'clock is a test of the alarm system. Rookie goes over, hits the answer back. That tells our dispatch that we heard it, it's working. And they have a little button down there and it comes on and you're good to go. 8 o'clock is generally lineup, not always, but generally. Some will do it 7:30, just depends, but most are 8 o'clock. We sit down as a group, make sure there's plenty of coffee. And the captain's going to go over the plan for the day. Okay, hey guys, today I want to go out and exercise first thing in the morning. He's going to go over any new material that came down from up above. Some new training bulletin, maybe there's gonna be a bats and beer thing on a day off, and he just checks all out to make sure you know what's going on within the department. And then he gives his plan for the day. Then they figure out, usually it's not him, he doesn't assign the cook, there's who's cooking, and then there's a guy that keeps the books, and they go, okay, today it's Frank, and Frank's like, no way, I'm not. And there's a whole argument always over, they think they got screwed somehow when it's their turn to cook. Dude, that's your number, you're up, don't let, no, I was off, I shouldn't have enough. It's pretty funny. Then we go out and exercise. Some stations aren't going to have you exercise, some will, just do whatever they want. If you're not exercising, they're probably going to have you, generally at the beginning, they don't have you exercise because they want you going over the rig, looking where everything is and going through your inventory. So after we exercise, we come back to the station, and then we shower and we get ready. After exercise here. And then generally that's when I like to do the proficiency exercise with the rookie. So we've been out exercising, we shower up, get our stuff on, and they say, okay, you're on. And he, about 15, 20 minute, whatever it's going to be on today, talks about the tool or equipment. We're done with that. And then we go out in the district and we do some of those things the captain wanted to do. Or we stay in and we do housework or apparatus maintenance. Just depends on what the captain's plan was. We're either going to be in the house working or out in the field doing things. We do this up to lunchtime. Lunchtime, have lunch. You won't be cooking as a rookie. I only have you cook one time. That's your last day, because part of my job is to train you. So I train you on being a cook. And in our department, rookies are usually in the dishes. So it's kind of sucks because you don't want to be the first one to get your food. So you got to wait to get your food. And then you got to eat pretty quick because you've got to be the first one in the dishes. But a lot of stations play games for dishes, which is nice. And it's a great time for a lot of camaraderie. I love this time of the day. The lunch and dinner when we're playing games for dishes, you learn a lot about each other. It's really fun. So the cook makes the rules. The cook decides what the game's going to be. I played every game you can think of. I played hide and seek, pin the tail on the donkey, Super Ball in the tennis court with a dustpan, and he throws it and he has to bounce, touch two walls on the floor, and then you try to catch it on the dustpan. And it's hard to do. That ball's crazy. Well, we had one captain, it's kind of a spaz, and he went to catch it when he smacked himself in the head and gave himself six stitches. So he said, no more Super Ball in the court. So all kinds of games, but you get to create the game because you're the cook. So I always say if it's a card game, you want to be in the suds anyways, just take a dive, just pretend you lost, but just lose and then go in the suds, which is where you want to be anyways. So that's a lot of fun for about an hour. Then it's 1 o'clock, it's back out into the field. And we're going to do more of those things the captain talked about. All non-emergency things I'm talking about here right now. School visitation, fire prevention, checking fire hydrants, whatever. Or we stay in and do station and apparatus maintenance. It just depends. At some point, we're going to do station and apparatus maintenance. There's some days we don't go out into other than just exercising. Just depends on the day. So that's how it is. We're eating up. This guy gets up to go to do something, and I grab that glass of water and I put a little water on his seat, put the glass back, and then it blends in with the bench, and he sits down also like son of a, so there's always things going on. When I was a rookie, I sat down at the table, first house, and they would take napkins and wet them, super wet, and then throw them, just boom, hit me in the head. Boom, hit me in the head. The whole meal. And I thought, oh God, this is not fun. I had like 20 napkins sitting in front of me, and I thought, is this what it's going to be like being a rookie? They're just doing their thing. They're just seeing how you react. You never show any reaction. If you react, you're going to get 40 napkins in the head, right? So just take it. So our maintenance is done on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So, and it's divided, like upstairs could be truck, downstairs engine. And then the drivers take care of their fire trucks. So daily is things we use a lot. The toilets, the sinks, the floors, the trash can, those got to be taken care of every day. Weekly, refrigerator, shower, stove, windows. We don't have to clean the refrigerator, detail it every day, but once a week, everything comes out. We completely clean it down inside because things spill in there and whatnot. And then everything goes back in. If it's outdated, gets thrown away, and everything, the jam jar gets cleaned up, and everything is detailed and put away. The stove, top to bottom on stove day, we clean it, get all the grease off, and get it ready. So I walk in the morning on a Tuesday, and I open the refrigerator, and it's hammered. And Monday was refrigerator day. So I'll get on the PA and I'll say, hey, A shift, don't worry, we'll take care of the reefer today. And then that's a little dig to let them know that you didn't do it, but we'll take care of it. Just sticking it to them, right? They always love that. And then, of course, well, what happened was, there's daily, weekly, monthly stuff. Monthly would be like this room I'm in here right now. Let's say it's a training room. And A shift has to take care of this room. They have 10 days in the month to take care of it. So one day, take the lights down, clean the fixtures, put new bulbs in, and that's it. That's good enough. Next day, wash the walls. Maybe, so just detail it out. If it's a floor that needs waxing, we actually strip the floors with stripper, re-wax them, and buff them out. There's very few like that left in the city because it's just too time consuming. So most of these floors, there are no wax floor now, or they're putting tile in because it's just too much maintenance in these stations. Business phone is just a phone that I answer. You don't have to worry about it. One of the things you're going to get is the doorbell rings, you're going to run to the door. But nighttime, more than one person goes with you for safety measures. A lot of times doorbells are generally a still alarm, which is somebody saw something, they're coming to tell us there's a traffic accident, blah, blah, blah. But since cell phones came in, these still alarms are just about gone because people see something, they just get on the phone, talk, boom, right now. It's something right by the station happens, and then they're in their car and they go, oh, there's a fire station, so they pull over. That's about the only still alarms we get anymore. This happens, my son tells me every day now, it's called a detail. I'm on an engine with 4 people. They'll close my engine. They'll say, you're closed today. This engine does not exist today. Your 4 people are going to go to 4 parts of the city. So you're going to be going to a totally different company. So you got to bring with you all of your PPEs, your brush gear. We leave the radio there, so you don't bring. That's always is a hiccup. The guy takes the radio, the guy or girl takes the radio, and they forget. The radio stays with the fire truck. When you get to that station, they have a radio for you. So you got to take all your stuff. If you're spending the whole shift, you got to take your bedding, your toiletries. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and away you go. I always tell the rookie, know the business number of where you're going, because if something happens and you get delayed, call that person, that captain, say, hey, I've been delayed. There's been a traffic accident, whatever. I'm going to be late. He needs to know that. When I get there, you need to tell him I'm a rookie. It's very important because he may think you're a seasoned veteran and put you in a spot where you're going to, and you got to let him know I'm a rookie, because now what I plan on doing with you is going to change the dynamics of my engine. So I'm not going to have you lay the line. You're probably going to be the nozzle person. Put your PPs on the rig, get your radio, know what channel they operate on. Not everybody operates on the same channel. If you're in Division 1, it's channel 1, Division 2, channel 2. You're in the Valley, channel 3. So you got to know and know how to operate it. Because it could be day one. This has happened on some people's day one. They get shipped to another station because that's just the way it worked. Do the inventory of their fire truck because you don't know their fire truck. So look around. It's going to be fairly similar to the engine that you're on, but check it out. The first compartment you'd want to check is the medical compartment, because we know 90% of what we do are medical calls. So I would go to that compartment because that's most likely what we're going to get. You're now their rookie. Make their coffee, answer their front door, and so forth. So structured here, other than the Halligan, you're going to bring everything that's in that picture. You're going to bring all your brush gear. You're going to bring your EMS gear, which is your normal wear that we wear, along with your vest, your bulletproof vest. That's part of your, and then all your toiletries. There's a lot of stuff to bring. Every time I had an overtime day, I'd forget one of these things. Like, oh crap, maybe a pillow, and you forget your pillow. It's a pain because now your head and everything's. Oh, but you always forget something. Okay, around 5 o'clock, the station alarm system gets tested again. It opens up, says this is the station alarm system. Hit your answer back. So as a rookie, you're going to push the button that lets them know we heard it, it's working, and they know the light goes on, you heard it. You're also going to have bells going off in the station. 1 bell, 4 bells, 5 bells, 10 bells. So 1 bell is a routine message, nothing super important. 4 bells is important. It's called a special notice. You have to hit an answer back to let them know. They need to know you got that message. An example would be everybody who's in Division 1, your TAC channel is no longer 1, it's 4. Well, that's pretty important, right? So if you don't see that, and we're out there on a fire talking on 1 and no one's listening to us because it's down right now. Everybody's on channel 4. So that's called a special notice. Take it off, go to the PA. As a rookie, you're going to get on the PA and you're going to read the notice. Special notice in quarters. All units, all metro units are no longer on channel 7. You're on channel whatever. And then go give it to the captain. And then guess what? He's going to put it in the journal. He's going to write a journal. 5 bells, every time we get a run, we get 5 bells. 10 bells, somebody passed away, either active or retired. Get on the PA, death notice, and you're going to call out the person's name, blah, 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 and this and that. And older stations we're all like, oh, who was it? Younger stations, you don't know anybody. As my career went on, I started going, hey, I knew that guy. I knew that. Wow. 1800. We always eat at 12 and 6. Just so you know, always. Now, do we eat at 12 and 6? Most never, right? Because it runs this and that. So when they say, what don't we eat around here? 12 and 6. So we try to eat around 6 as best we can. Again, eat your food, get in the game, lose the game, get in the suds. It's easier. At nighttime, we clean up the station in the kitchen much better. We really clean the floor well, all the countertops. We leave it pretty pristine for the next shift when they come in the morning. 7:30, everybody's on their own, not you, but they can go watch TV. It's all their downtime from then on. You're going to be studying for your next shift for your proficiency exercise. I always tell guys, I don't have one with me, but have a little notebook in your pocket, spiral notebook with a pen, and throughout the day, somebody asks you a question, write it down, put it back in. Somebody else asks you something, I don't know, but I'll get back to you, write it down. Captain says, hey, make sure today, write it down, whatever it is. At the end of the day, get your notebook out, make sure everything is crossed off on the notebook. And you don't go to bed until they're done. If you try to keep it to memory, it's not going to work. Trust me. 2,000 hours, you can go to bed. Are you? No. Some people do, very rare. But I always tell a rookie, go in at 8 o'clock, make your bed. Because you're going to go to bed probably about 11. And you don't want to go in at 11 and try to make your bed. You're going to make a bunch of noise. You're going to bump into people and they're going to be pissed. So 8 o'clock, get in there real quick, make up your bed, and get out. At night, a lot of people don't realize, we go out in the district at night and we do it for fire prevention, community involvement, or nighttime training. Fire prevention, we go out 3 times a year to every hotel. We make sure the exit lighting is on. The lighting in the hallways are on, the doors are shut. The penthouse door isn't locked with a lock on it, because some guys will lock those up so people can't go to the roof and do whatever they do on the roof up there, shoot drugs or whatever else, which is against the law because people in a fire can't get out that door. So we do fire prevention at night. We go to bars that are not open during the day and nightclubs. They open about 5 o'clock at night. So we go to make sure they're not overcrowded. That little sign on the door that says occupancy 200 people, if they have more than 200, we tell them we dump it. We call it dump it. We dump the place, and we actually have a little handheld clicker. We go, okay, go, click, 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 and we hit 200. We stop. We tell the bouncer, no one goes in until somebody comes out, and that's things that we do. That happens in places like Hollywood downtown. We have those nightclubs where people pack inside. They're not allowed to do that. We do a lot of community involvement, going to churches and Rotary clubs and things like that. We give talks. So like I said, that's if we go out at night. Otherwise, like I said, 2,000 hours, that's the legal time to go to bed. You're not going to be going to bed. You're going to be studying for your next day, make your bed up. I always say, at 11 o'clock, when you bring your stuff in, keep your socks on. I always tell rookies, don't try to put your socks on when you get a run, because they're going to be fast, especially when you're new. They want to get you, they're trying to train you into being quick. So they're going to get in their turnouts to the rig fast. I mean, fast and out the door. If they leave you, they'll leave you. So I always tell rookies, keep your socks on. It's one less thing you got to worry about. And that way you can just jump right into your turnouts, throw your suspenders on, slide the pole, and get on the fire truck. Okay. The calendar. Here's our calendar in LA City. So January 1st, you're a C shifter. I can look all the way to December 25th, and I know I'm working Christmas. This year, I'm off on Christmas. All right. But this year, I'm working Christmas. November, I'm off for Thanksgiving. Awesome. You know this on January 1st. You can plan out your year. So what really bothers me is we have people who on Christmas call in sick because they want to be with their family, which means now Donovan, I call in sick, Donovan gets assigned hired, meaning he has to work. They said, you have to work today. There's nothing you can do about it. He can't say no, he gets time off because I'm selfish. And that goes on since my own time on the job. My boys tell me it's like, really, I have no respect for people. I won't work with people like that. I'll run them out of my fire station. Zero respect when you have all year to take that day off. We have people that will go in our magazine, our Grapevine magazine. I have one here around here somewhere, and we have classified ads, and they'll say, I'll give $500 to anybody that'll work for me on Christmas, cash. This one guy did it every year, $500, because he wants to be off on Christmas. Well, somebody takes him up on it. We have people on our job who are Jehovah's Witness. They get hit up right away because they don't work. They don't care about holidays. They don't believe in them. So guys will say, hey, you want to work Christmas? Okay. And then usually they'll say, well, you gonna give me something for it? Because it's a big deal. So if I were a C shifter, which is green, and I know I'm working Christmas, I have Christmas Eve off. So I can plan having my family with me on Christmas Eve. But holidays are actually awesome on the fire department because you can bring your family in. We can all be together at the fire station. It's really cool. But some people don't want to for whatever reason. Okay. So I'm not going to bore you with too much about this, but so we get a fire-related call. You just got on the fire truck. I'll be talking to you on the headset saying, okay, if we get a car, let's say it's a car fire, I'll say, make sure you got 100 feet of inch and a half on the ground. So-and-so will get the dry chem, and I'll kind of walk you through. We don't expect you because you came out of the academy, you are ready, you're good to go. We know you're nervous. We know you're happy. I'm just thrilled you got your seatbelt on and you put your TAC channel on your radio to 1 or whatever the TAC channel is. I'm thrilled. I don't expect a whole lot more out of you because it's just, you got to work your way into this. The first 30 days, I hardly push you at all. I just let you get your routine down, let you get used to getting on the fire truck, going to runs, the daily routine of a firefighter, the non-emergency things. And then the second month, I start pushing you a little bit. Like I said, we don't expect too much from you. Just show initiative, be alert, go hard. That's all we expect. So this you can read over on your own time. Nightly, I'll meet with you every night, talk about the day, how it went, what was your observation of the day, what I saw, we compare notes. You get a report card every night, so you know right where you're at, how you're doing. And any questions, that's feedback, right? Because you told me when that engineer's yelling at you in the interview, you love feedback, right? So here's my feedback, and I might yell at you. I just tell you, hey, on this run, I like this and this, but remember, you kind of failed here. You forgot to do this and this, and not a big deal. And at the end of the month, I give you one big report card. Either we want to hang on to this person, or I recommend termination. And a lot of captains in the first month automatically recommend termination. That's just how they are. You don't freak out about it, but if I think if you didn't do well, I will recommend termination. If you do okay, I'll put satisfactory. Or I'll put a lot of needs improvement. You're not going to have all satisfactory because first month you're going to have areas you need to improve in. But some captains are tough. There's that spiral notebook I talked about. You get up in the morning, get up, get ready, because you're going to help the rookie that's coming on. You're going to go down and do those things for him or her. You're going to make coffee for them, fill the Coke machine, clean the bathroom downstairs, whatever duties they're supposed to do. You do it for them so they can worry about other things. And like I say, after that, go home and get some real sleep. You're not going to sleep good. Your rookie year, you don't sleep well at work. You're up and down anyways. And then when you are laying there, you're worried that you're going to get a run. You're hovering above your bed about 6 inches above your bed all night because you're just, the brain's going 100 miles an hour. So this is your routine for a solid year. Anything less, you're not going to be successful. You got to go hard for 1 year. Let me see if this will work.
You booked a sunny Verbo ski chalet with endless views of snow-covered peaks. But the thing I'll remember.
We look at the YouTube video. Getting his PPEs, getting him ready for the rig, doing his inventory. We don't fire up our equipment inside the station because of the fumes. We take them outside, and you wouldn't do that until everybody was up for sure. They went right to exercise. They're exercising. We're out shopping. So you're on the engine, you'll go shopping. We are good shoppers. These people like to eat, that's for sure. They're eating good. So non-emergency, boom, we got a call, emergency. Drop what we're doing, there we go. Hope you wash the hands. Rookies in the suds. So in the afternoon, they're training a little bit outside. Now station and apparatus maintenance. So he's going to do station maintenance. Now we're outside, they're outside, they're training, could be any combination of these, right? So we're outside doing some training. Never jump off like he does, ever. You never jump onto a roof. You obviously can fall through. So that wasn't good training. Socks on, bing, bing, faster. We have to be out the door in a minute. That's obviously we want to be faster than that, but at least a minute.
Hey, Mike. Don't have a very busy shoot? Nah, not really. Just a typical day on the 8th.
So, pretty typical of what we do in the fire service. We do, you're gonna see there's a, in the module, you can look at, it says duties of a firefighter. Everything I talked about in that PowerPoint, I have on a sheet of paper, and somebody asks you, what does a firefighter do? Which we used to ask in our, in an interview, if you sat down, one of the first questions I asked, tell me what a firefighter does. And I always say there's two things we do. We do emergency and non-emergency operations over a 24 and 48 hour period. So everything I talked about in that, in the inventory, the lineup, the exercising, proficiency exercises, the fire prevention, the community involvement, all that, all non-emergency. But at any time, we could be called upon to perform an emergency operation, fire or EMS or other. Three things we do on the fire on that side. Fire, anything from a trash can, car fire, major high-rise or brush fire. EMS is 90% of what we do. Could be a cut finger, could be a broken arm, car accident, or a full cardiac arrest, and anything in between. Other calls are good intention calls, which could be snakes, trees down, and that's what I see myself doing on a daily basis. So you can tell me what a firefighter does. You'll see it on the sheet I gave you. In about less than 1 minute, you can tell somebody exactly what a firefighter does. And in an interview, we used to ask people, tell me what a firefighter does. Well, they clean the fire station. They clean the fire trucks. They go on emergencies, medical calls. They clean the fire truck. They're all over the map. So this is a way of, there's two things we do. It just makes sense. We're either in the emergency mode or the non-emergency mode over a 24 or 48 hour period. If we're in a non-emergency mode, it's those things I talk about, and all of a sudden we switch into gears, we go to the emergency mode. That's what we do. All right. So the module's set up for you. I'll open it right now, and you'll see what you have to do. There's a quiz on the interview process, and then I believe there's a discussion on it. And that's it for the week. Any questions at all? I appreciate the 8 of you that showed up. I appreciate that. It's nice. Brian, thank you for having yours on. I have something to look at. I appreciate that. And if that's it, that's all I got. I'll be seeing all of you next week, probably 4:30, same time. All right. Unless you have a question, I'm gonna fire. If you have a question, let me know right now. Otherwise, I'm gonna end the meeting. In fact, I'm gonna hit stop record. Stop.